The Shooting Range. In this episode, Born to be an Adventurer, the story of the Lockheed L14 and its family. World War II Chronicles. Some information about an ongoing event in the game. Hotline. The developers answer questions that you've left in the comments. But first, let's start with checking out the Martin Baker MB5. Is this worth getting a place in your hangar? Let's find out. There are two things that catch your eye. A giant air intake that looks like it belongs to a Mustang, and two three-blade propellers that are located in a way that ensures maximum thrust. As a result, this bird reaches air speeds of as much as 740 kph. This speed is hard to reach, but hey, you're getting this fast at BR 5.3. The Gustav 10 reaches a maximum of only 692 kph. The LA9, 2 kph less. The MB5 also has a good climbing rate, 20 meters per second. In overdrive, it can climb as high as 5,000 meters without overheating problems. The maneuvering speed, though, is not that great. Almost 27 seconds against 17 to 18 of the Spitfires and 19 of that same Gustav. Another disadvantage is the armor. The plane's only protected parts are the fuel tanks, so be careful out there. Given the maneuvering speed, dogfights are not for you. What is then? That's right. Boom and zooming. Climb higher, use your map to navigate, and look for the enemy. You can safely fall right at their tails as you lose your wings at only 920 kph. If your opponent challenges you for a head-on attack, you can handle it. 4 Hispano Mark II cannons aren't exactly a menacing force, but they're producing a dense fire blast. You've got 800 bullets, quite enough to get 3 or 4 frags without reloading. Also, don't use continuous bursts. Those Hispanos don't like it. As for the ammo, the best option for you is a stealth belt. If you're not that confident, the one for the air targets will do just fine. What we don't recommend is using this aircraft against the enemy below. Sure, you've got a ground targets belt piercing 26mm of armor, but it's better not to waste this fighter's potential hunting tankers. Let the Wyvern S Mark IV or the Spitfires do that. Your job is to clear the sky and climb up high. The MB5 appeared too late to participate in the war, but in War Thunder, you can fix this historical injustice and give this aircraft a second life. And now, a story of a true adventurer. The Lockheed Electra L14 was great when it came to off-road conditions, but it did have one flaw. It couldn't compete with the Douglas inside the United States. It was created to fit the roughest places without good roads. It was harder and more expensive to maintain and could carry less payload than the famous DC-3. Who would need to use this aircraft in the USA, where all airfields were covered with even layers of concrete? And the third world countries didn't buy a lot of aircraft. Clarence Johnson had to create something that could outdo the Douglas. And the solution came in the shape of the L-18 Lodestar, with a fuselage that could take more stuff to carry. But the Electra and her little brother would still remain in the shadow if it wasn't for the war. When it started, the British suddenly became interested in the L-14, so it got renamed to the Hudson and went to war. Then it all changed. This plane could do everything. Bombing, attacking, carrying out diversions behind enemy lines, evacuating the wounded, destroying planes and ships, landing on any clearing in the woods, and taking off again, damaging bushes and fences. Suddenly, all these expensive parts proved to be worth the cost. The DC-3 couldn't do all these things. Looking at all these miracles performed by the previously humble Electra, the US military finally woke up and decided to spend some extra money. But why take the Electra if they could make the Lodestar ready for combat as well? And so they did. The first B-34 Lexington was taken into service as early as the summer of 1942. Then they went to England to catch up with their elder sibling. Then came the sailors that wanted such aircraft for their own purposes. The huge bomb hatch of the Lodestar was great for hosting torpedoes. So it became a naval aircraft under a new index, the PV-1. By the way, the name Lexington didn't take. The bomber received a new one, the Ventura. Quite logical, really, as this bird lived many adventures. It became a naval strike aircraft, a bomber, a torpedo bomber, and even a nighttime fighter, because with that many Brownings, it could easily dismantle any Japanese bomber in a second. There were only two disadvantages: short flight range, considering that it was used in the Pacific, and the wing taken from the original Electra, but carrying a lot more weight. So Clarence Johnson made his next move. He gave the plane new wings and a wider span, and placed enlarged fuel tanks inside them. Plus, completely reworked the tail and made the cockpit into a two-seater, which was crucial for long oceanic flights. Alas, when the new PV-2 Harpoon was ready for action, the war was already coming to its end. So the aircraft never got to see combat. Still, the B-34 and its naval counterpart, the PV-1, became immensely popular in the world, and sailors wanted to have the PV-2 even after the war in a lot of countries, including France, Italy, Great Britain, and even Japan, where these planes served until the 60s. And of course, this aircraft family received a lot of love from smugglers in Latin America, who used them to fly right from the jungle, giving heart attacks to those who tried to stop them with jet fighters. Want to get some exquisite free premium tech, a couple of decals and other cool stuff? Jump in for the World War II Chronicles event. In case you missed it, the page for the event is right at the top of our site. There, you can find a schedule for the past and coming activities for tankers and pilots alike. Each of these lasts for 48 hours. If you manage to get the tasks done, you earn a Chronicle reward. If you missed something, you can always spend some Eagles to catch up. As always, the objectives for tankers and pilots differ, so either choose your priorities or, trade some sleep time for the prizes. You will find all actual activities right in the Events and Tournaments menu of the game. Get in, choose the mode you like, pick a machine that you're good with, and go get some rewards. 6 Chronicle awards will get the T-18E2 armored car for the tankers and the Tandem MAI attack aircraft for the pilots. And even better for 11 awards, the Lorraine 155 MLE-50 SPG and the Whirlwind P9 correspondingly. Each segment of the event gives you 5 special objectives to fulfill. though it's not obligatory to get through all of these. 3 of them will be enough to get you the Chronicle Award. Also, there are some additional rewards for doing all of this. Each 2 Chronicle Awards will grant you some boosters for experience or Lion income. Each 3, some decals for aviators and decorators for tankers, plus random camouflages for aircraft and tanks, as well as backup vehicles and talismans. And for all you perfectionists out there is a special reward for gaining all 13 Chronicle Awards. An extra camouflage for both premium machines that you've got during the event. Lastly, don't forget that you can assemble your own reward. There are some objectives that you can complete just by playing random battles, not just Chronicles. After completing those, you'll get parts of the Matilda tank and the PV-2 Harpoon bomber. Collect all 24 details and you'll get the coupons for these machines. And if you don't gather them all, you can always swap what you have for some trophies with decals and decorators. Also, every reward except for the parts of these 2 machines can be traded on the marketplace. Just remember that if you have activated the coupon in your account, you won't be able to trade it later. Get ready for the traditional last part of our show, Hotline. Developers answering questions from the comments. The first question was asked by a user called Mr. NG.
Since the Leopard 1A1 and the T62 have APFSDS, can the M60A1 get them as well?
Hey there, Mr. NG. If it did have them in reality, then yes it can, and definitely will. If it didn't, it will have to go without them. A player called Theo Sivier asks, air-to-air missiles, when? How? Please. Hi there. We're working on this concept along with the Tier 6 aviation, but for now, those things seem too OP to be released in the game. Then there is a question from Jose Jimenez.
Can we have a special event for FIFA World Cup?
Can't promise you anything, mate, but the idea seems nice. Now we just have to find something common between tanks, airplanes, and football. And the very last, very serious message was sent by good old Slime Dude 29.
We do read them all.
Wait, you too? That's it for today, but feel free to write your questions in the comments below. We do read them all, and you might see some of them answered in the next episode. If you like what we're doing, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you on the shooting range.